Shut up and sit down.
Hey everyone, in this new episode of Real Film Chatter, we're going to be talking about those pesky Rogue One rumors, the Passion of the Christ sequel, Tom Hiddleston as James Bond, some Planet Hulk rumors in Thor 3, and so much more. Sit back, relax, and enjoy a brand new episode of Real Film Chatter.
Welcome, cinephiles. Welcome to Real Film Chatter, real news for real fans. I'm your host, Sarah Bard, and this is our weekly movie news show where we talk all things going on in the world of film. With me today on the panel is Patrick Campbell.
Hey everyone, it's good to be back. I know it's been a little while. A lot of things have happened since I moved, and Ghostbusters fans were freaking out. Warcraft may or may not be a flop. All sorts of stuff's going on, and apparently Harrison Ford is back as Indiana Jones, and I didn't see that one coming, so I'm just happy to talk movies again.
Yes. And also here we have Sam Taylor.
Hey everyone, I'm happy to be back. We've been gone for a couple months now, almost 4. I think our last show was the first week of February, so it's June now. Yay! Movies have happened. Lots has happened.
Lots has happened. Like I said earlier, man, the last time we were here, Batman v Superman hadn't come out yet. Deadpool hadn't dominated the box office. Harrison Ford wasn't coming back as Indiana Jones.
Which is shocking.
There's tons of stuff going on, and I'm sad that it took us this long, but there's just been a lot going on, but oh my God, I'm so glad to be back because I just wanted to talk movies again, and there's so much going on. What was the biggest thing for you, Sam, before we came back, movie news-wise, that surprised you?
Let's see. Biggest thing. Probably the Harrison Ford coming back. The Rogue One stuff, which we'll talk about later.
I have stuff to talk about with Rogue One.
Yeah. How weird the box office has been this year. It's been all over the place. Like, things that I thought would do better aren't doing as well, and then stuff that shouldn't be doing that well is doing well, I guess. I don't know. It's just weird. But I'm going to jump into box office if you don't mind. It's something that we do. So.
It is. I just want to ask Sarah real quick, is there anything that jumped out at you movie news-wise since the last time we did the show that surprised you?
Donnie Yen, Rogue One.
Yeah, that was good too. Yeah, that was a big surprise for you. You forgot about that.
I did.
And so when she saw the trailer for Rogue One, and the Rogue One trailer dropped while we were gone too. And so, a lot has happened. And there's some Suicide Squad stuff too that we didn't get to talk about their reshoots.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's a lot happening in movie news. But Sam, go ahead and jump into the box office so we can talk about all that other fun stuff.
Yeah, so number one last weekend was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows, the sequel to the not-so-great Ninja Turtles movie. Only made $35 million, which is quite a bit less than the first one made.
Yeah, almost 50% less. It's a big drop.
But considering this movie was only made for $135 million, I think they're going to be fine either way. Number two, on its second weekend, was X-Men Apocalypse. Fell 65%, which is pretty harsh. Made $22 million, up to $116 million. But again, $178 million budget. They're still going to be fine. But I don't know. I think Fox really needs to be looking at what they plan on doing with this series, because it's never been the hugest grossing of the box office for the superhero movies. It just hasn't. And even Days of Future Past, which I think did really well, I think it only made like $600 million worldwide.
Yeah,
you're wrong, but it didn't make like the Avengers / Captain America /
Deadpool
numbers. Yeah, it just hasn't. Deadpool was the weirdo of the whole thing, which good for him.
That was great for the X-Men franchise.
No, it was, but it hasn't paid off in numbers for Apocalypse.
No, it has not at all.
Just saying. Number three, a new movie. It's one of those lovey-dovey, depressy, probably someone dies at some point in the movie.
Spoilers.
Well, I mean, I'm just assuming, considering that I had a friend on Facebook go, well, I'm going to see it, but the book destroyed me, so the movie's probably going to destroy me as well. I'm like, why are you going to go see it? I don't understand. Anyways, it's called Me Before You. It made $18 million. It was only made for $20 million, so good for them.
I have to wonder why the female audience is such a glutton for punishment with stuff like that. I hear that.
I don't even know if it's just the female audience. I just think it's anyone that's a glutton for punishment.
Well, okay, I don't mean that in a bad thing, but, you see girls love these movies.
Well, yeah, it's like, oh, he's dying. Oh, my God. Like, I don't. For me, it's not my kind of movie, but if it's your kind of movie, good for you.
Yeah, good for you. We're not. I guess I don't understand it, but then again, I mean,
unless you've read the book.
Yeah, unless I've read the book, and I guess that's where like things with Fault in Our Stars and stuff really soar, is that there's a big audience. And I liked Fault in Our Stars.
I mean, and the good thing is it shows people still read.
Yes,
yeah, that's true. we should be happy that people are actually reading. I think J.K. Rowling needs to write some more of those Harry Potter books, because at least then we'd all be reading still.
Well, I mean, she's got that little script for that show that they have coming out that she wrote.
Oh, yeah, and we'll talk about that, too.
We will. Anyways, number 4, on its second weekend, Alice Through the Looking Glass.
Alice Through the Looking Flop?
Yeah, the movie that no one really asked for, but they decided to make anyways. Made $11 million on its second weekend, fell 57%, which isn't, that's about average-ish, I guess. But it's only up to $51 million, which at this point, the first movie was probably at about, I think, like $135 million its second weekend. So, yeah. I mean, but again, with this movie, there have been people online going, oh, well, is this going to make Disney second guess, like, their remakes? And all? No. It's not. Just calm down. When we get to Jungle Book later, yeah, it made $1 bajillion. That's all they care about. And quite frankly, if you saw the trailer for Beauty and the Beast, which is the exact replication of the trailer of the very first animated movie, like literally frame by frame, it's the exact same trailer. It had more views than Star Wars The Force Awakens did in the first 24 hours.
Yeah.
So you think they're not going to make money off of these movies? Shut up. Next, the Angry Birds movie, made off of that lovely, fun game that I hate to play because it makes me angry.
Mission accomplished.
Exactly. It made $10 million. It's on its third weekend. It's up to $87 million, only a $73 million budget. So Sony's got to be happy with that. Number 6, Captain America Civil War. Made $7.8 million, up to $389 million. $250 million budget. I think it's already past $1 billion. It's
already passed.
Yeah. I mean, another one that was crazy this year, this was another one that shocked the heck out of me, talking about box office stuff that shocked me, was Zootopia.
Oh, yeah.
It passed $1 billion. I think it was last weekend.
Yep.
So... I mean, that's just crazy.
And that was the weekend right before it hit Blu-ray, too.
Yeah. Crazy. Number 7, Neighbors 2, Sorority Rising. Another sequel that's underperforming. But, comedy movies tend to do that quite often. Made $4.8 million, up to $48 million. So, whatever. Number 8, probably one of the most ridiculous titles I've ever seen for anything. Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping. Good for that movie. Made $4.6 million. It doesn't say what the budget is, but I'm assuming it's probably not a whole lot. So, yeah. And then number 9, The Jungle Book, which I was just talking about, made $4.4 million. It's on its 8th weekend. And it's up to $347 million on a $175 million budget. So, yeah, Disney's going to stop making those remakes. Just telling you now, they're gonna stop. They hate making money. Number 10, the movie that I wish had done better and was doing better, but is not, is The Nice Guys. It made $3.4 million, up to $29 million. I wish it would be up to like 3 times that at this point. But it's kind of sad. I mean, it's original fun little thing that people aren't seeing. But it like I said, the box office this year's been very, very interesting.
It has been, and there's been a lot of think pieces the last few weeks about the underperformance of sequels and that audiences are burned out on sequels, when that's absolutely not the case. When you look at the box office, Captain America came out at the beginning of May and is still in the top 10 and is still making a lot of money weekend by weekend. It shows that audiences still want sequels. We just don't want bad sequels. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Alice, Neighbors 2, X-Men. It has nothing to do with movies being sequels. Did we not learn last year? The Force Awakens, Jurassic World, Creed. There's a ton of sequels that did really, really well. Creed is the 7th movie in the Rocky series and managed to get Academy Award nominations.
Well, exactly. I mean, and the thing is that, we have sequels that are doing really well. I mean, technically, Batman v Superman's a sequel to Man of Steel.
Yep.
You've got Captain America: Civil War, which is, of course, a sequel to pretty much every MCU movie out there.
Yeah.
That's doing really well. If you count it as a Captain America movie, it's done I think 35 or 40% better than Winter Soldier did, which is amazing. I still personally think Winter Soldier is a better movie. That's just me. But that's the thing. It's if you are making something that people are invested in, like the MCU films, people are going to go see it.
Yeah.
Even with the DC movies, there are a lot of people that are invested in those characters, and that's why it's doing as well as it is. I mean, Marvel has a very set up, that was, movie 13 in the MCU? I think. This is movie 2 for DC. But, I mean, I'm still extremely excited for Suicide Squad, a lot. I actually think that's going to be a lot better than Batman v Superman. Of course, now they're saying Batman v Superman's being re-released as the whatever they're calling it,
the Ultimate Cut.
Ultimate Cut, which is rated R. It's well, if this was what they're now claiming is going to be canon, or so says Zack Snyder, so say we all, then you should have released that cut. Not afterwards going, oh, well.
And I agree with you, and that was totally a WB thing because they completely re-edited the movie at the 11th hour.
Well, of course they did, because it was long.
Yeah.
If you were afraid of it being long, you should have released it in October or November.
Or they should have split it in two. I really stand by that. I think that those 2-part rumors from last year were actually true.
Oh, no, I think they were too. Because, from everything, what's the official runtime of the...
It's just over 3 hours, and that's not including the fact that there was a 4-hour cut before the 3-hour cut.
Well, exactly. So if they did it, let's say they had released a 3.5-hour cut, they could have done 2 movies.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Easy.
You could have done an hour 45 each.
Yeah,
and would have been fine. And people would have gone to see it. And that's the thing that makes me baffles the hell out of me. It's WB. What did they have before? They had Harry Potter, which they wanted to split into 2 movies since the 4th one.
And they had The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And The Hobbit they split into 3 movies.
Well, exactly. Well, they only had The Hobbit. They didn't have Lord of the Rings. That was on New Line. It wasn't.
Well, yeah, technically, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's so they got extremely greedy with The Hobbit. Let's make 3 movies, but you can't split your DC series that you want to be your new bread and butter into 2.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And here's the thing: Batman v Superman should have been $1 billion movie.
It should have.
It should have been $1 billion
down.
movie, hands down. Batman and Superman are the most well-known characters outside of Spider-Man when it comes to fictional comic book characters.
Yep.
These are amazing, iconic characters. It was Wonder Woman for the first time, and somehow they managed to bungle it so bad that it didn't make $1 billion. And this isn't me knocking the quality of the movie. This is me knocking WB for deciding to cut the movie at the 11th hour, because Batman v Superman was not an all-bad movie.
No, I mean, honestly, I think a lot of the issues that I have with Batman v Superman is because there are cuts.
Mm-hmm. And
you can tell the story feels choppy. It feels like there's no follow-through of anything. It's just here I am. Half underdeveloped characters and just stupid stuff. And I think if they would have treated it how they should have, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to see the Ultimate Edition or whatever the hell they're calling it, and I'll probably like it a lot.
Yeah, it comes out July 19th, right around the time that we're all actually going to be down at Comic-Con.
Yeah,
which is awesome. And so maybe this year, like we did last year, they released Days of Future Past's Road Cut while we were at Comic-Con, because I actually bought it there. And we came back and we reviewed it. I think we'll probably do something similar.
Yeah, we should.
We should. I think we're going to have a nice little meetup for Real Film Chatter and have a little reunion show with a bunch of the guys down there, too. So that'll be fun. But but I'm irritated by WB's standards on this. I'm irritated that The Nice Guys didn't do better for them at the same time.
Yeah.
Because The Nice Guys is one of the most fun movies that's come out this year.
And I mean, and I'm not even the biggest Russell Crowe fan. If you ask me, I think he's okay. But he's fantastic in that movie. I mean, Ryan Gosling's fantastic in that movie. It's just a lot of fun. Like I literally was just giggling with delight watching The Nice Guys. And I mean, I've told people like, oh yeah, like go see it. They're like, oh, it's out already. Like they had no idea. So I think part of it's just marketing. They didn't market the movie well at all.
But they released 4 trailers for that movie, so it's weird that they
did. But
yeah.
where did you see them?
I guess, which is weird because I felt like I saw the trailer every time I went to the movies.
But I feel like people would write it off as like one of those little indie movies you just don't want to go see kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I agree.
No, I think that's the problem. I think that's what happened. Is it's like, oh well, that's cute. I'll catch it when it goes on Redbox.
Well, let me just say, if you guys like Lethal Weapon, it's a Shane Black movie. He wrote Lethal Weapon. He wrote and directed Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. He wrote The Last Action Hero. He wrote The Last Boy Scout. He's a great writer, and he's a great filmmaker. He also wrote and directed Iron Man 3, which I know has a lot of people who don't like it and a lot of people who do. If you like Shane Black, give it a chance. Even if you don't like Iron Man 3, give the movie a chance. It's a really great movie.
I agree.
One last thing when it comes to box office, as far as this top 10, the fact that Jungle Book is still in the top 10 and it came out in April is incredible.
Is amazing.
It's absolutely amazing. It speaks volumes about what Jon Favreau was able to, do with the film. I'm really happy for him, especially coming off Chef, a movie that you, Sarah, and I all adore.
I love that movie so much. It's so great. It's one of those little nuggets of a film that if you haven't seen it, seriously, what the hell's wrong with you? Go. It's on Netflix. They made it simple for you. Just watch it on Netflix. It's fantastic. But no, I mean, Jungle Book really hit into something that's great. I mean, it's the next step of what Avatar did, really.
It's more technologically advanced than Avatar in every way, I think.
It's gorgeous. I mean, there's literally shots in that movie that are just, like, breathtakingly gorgeous. I mean, and it's made, I'm looking at it right now, it's made $909 million worldwide.
Yep.
So all those people going, oh, is Disney going to stop making remakes? Of course they're not. If they're making money like this, they made it for $175 million and they made $909 million. You think they're going to stop?
No. And this is the same studio that, like you said earlier, Beauty and the Beast had how many views for a teaser trailer? A really wonderful teaser trailer. And they've already got Mulan set to go. And I think it was just recently they started mulling over a Little Mermaid that they're going to do in live action. Not the Universal one. Disney's going to do their own.
Well, and my favorite meme that I've seen of that so far, I don't know if you saw it, was the Tron cycles. And it just said something like, oh, Universal, you're going to make a Little Mermaid. And then it showed it, like, getting destroyed.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, oh, Disney's going to do it better or something like that. And I was like, this is the best thing ever.
It's so true, though. And the thing that Lion King did, the same thing that Beauty and the Beast is going to do, and the same thing that Cinderella did so well last year, is that we're getting live-action movies that are similar to the ones that we grew up on with the animated ones. It taps into the audience that it's a familiar movie to something we loved.
Yeah.
While also being its own thing and doing it different.
And that's the thing I really liked with Jungle Book is it dared to be more adult. And it dared to, like, there was a couple of the songs in there, which actually didn't pull me out of the movie. I thought it would, like, a lot. But it didn't. And it was great. And it was fun. I mean, even where, like, I really enjoyed Cinderella, too. Like, to some of our other shows when we were talking about, like, I really enjoyed Cinderella a lot. I thought it was breathtaking. And, of course, it didn't make nearly as much money as Jungle Book has. But that's neither here nor there. But, I mean, honestly, I think Beauty and the Beast for them is going to be a home run, huge, huge, huge thing. I mean, there's already people going Oscars, 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 and you bet your ass that they're aiming for that to happen. Like,
absolutely.
Your ass, they want that to happen. So it's going to be very interesting.
And if you guys didn't hear, Star Wars has finally ended its run at the box office as well. This is kind of a little side note to everything, but Star Wars The Force Awakens finally finished with $2 billion at the worldwide box office, the number 3 film of all time, and the number 1 film domestically, bringing in $936,662,225 for the 7th film in the Star Wars series. This is huge.
It's huge. I mean, and like, I think in their hearts of hearts, they were hoping that it would do well. But I mean, that's bigger than they could even have imagined. Like, honestly, it's way bigger than they could have imagined. So Good for them.
It's great. And so I know that J.J. Abrams has got to be happy with the results, especially, he took a lot of flack even coming onto the project from fans because there's a lot of people who think he screwed up Star Trek, and I wish I could slap those people. But, it is what it is. And I'm just happy for him that he got another win because Abrams is one of the coolest, most down-to-earth guys in Hollywood, and I think he deserved the win.
Well, I mean, and he's honestly the next Spielberg. I mean, that's just is what it is. Like, love it or hate it, it is what it is. So,
it's him or Juan. At this point, it's him or Juan. Because I'm convinced that Juan could be the next Spielberg. Not just because, he's talented, but there's a moment. The Conjuring 2 opened this weekend. We had a chance to see it last night. And there's a moment in the middle of that movie that is so Spielberg. It admits the horror of everything going on in the movie that was so perfectly Spielberg, so perfectly Amblin, that I couldn't believe I wasn't watching a Spielberg movie.
Was it Spielberg face? Like, I haven't seen it yet.
No, it was a character moment.
Oh, okay.
It's a really great character moment where Patrick Wilson's character stops in the middle of all of this, and he picks up a guitar, and he's trying to calm everyone down, and he starts playing Elvis.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's a really great scene that's very, very Spielberg in a lot of ways to me. And so I think that Juan has proven that he has that chance, and I think that Abrams has proven that he has that chance. I think both of them are going to raise up on mantles, and they're going to have to battle for who can be more Spielberg than the other by the time their careers are over. Yeah, and it's going to be like Mortal Kombat, and one of them is going to end up going, finish him, and, but it's going to
be better for it.
Yeah, the world will be better because we'll get all these great movies in the process, which is why I'm so excited for Aquaman. But, I mean, it's cool that the box office is having a good time for things like Jungle Book and Star Wars.
Well,
for Disney, yeah.
Disney worldwide so far has already made $4 billion. I mean, drop the mic. Like, how much can you say? I mean, it's huge. I mean, they've just been, it's been hit after hit. Yeah, Alice has been a fumble, but I mean, you've got, Captain America, you've got Zootopia, which did extremely well. You've got Jungle Book, which has done extremely well. Like, they're doing pretty good this year. So as much as people want to give them crap for doing remakes and all this stuff, it's making them money.
All the money.
I mean, Star Wars did huge. You just said $2 billion. Like, they're making the money. That's all they can say, and they're happy. They're the ones laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. So with that, guys, we're going to move on. We have a new segment that we're going to be doing every week. It's going to be a little bit of fun for us because there's a lot of movie news, and you know that we don't always get a chance to cover everything because with everything going on, there's only so much time in one show. But we've decided...
I have so much breath.
Yeah, we only have so much breath to talk about it, and there's only so long that you guys can listen to us talk about it. But we decided that, there's a lot of news stories out the week that we wish we could cover, but there's not a lot to say. So we're actually going to do our real film clips. It's going to be 10 news segments of stuff that's going on in the world of movies just to get you guys kind of caught up on what's happening while not really having a lot of other say in it. There's not a lot for us to discuss on it, but hey, at least we can talk about it. You guys will know what's going on. So Sarah, I'm going to go ahead and give you the mic. Let us know what's going on in the world of movies.
Awesome. So we got director Sam Raimi is in talks to produce and possibly direct a new Warner Brothers heist film tentatively titled Stormfall. The film would follow a man and his mentor who are caught in a tornado storm in the Carolinas. No further details have been revealed, but we do hope that the film has room for a Bruce Campbell appearance.
Always.
It appears that Kenneth Branagh's remake Murder on the Orient Express has finally found its star, with Angelina Jolie is reported to talks to join the ensemble film. Based on the famous Agatha Christie novel. Could she be playing the Ingrid Bergman role? Who knows? The Dude abides, and film fans cheer. Jeff Bridges has joined the star-studded Kingsman sequel, Kingsman's The Golden Circle. The actor revealed on his Twitter account posting a poster for his character which said the following: "The only golden circle I want vexing me is the one my glass leaves behind on the table." Bridges joins returning star Taron Egerton, as well as newcomers Channing Tatum, Halle Berry, Julianne Moore, Pedro Pascal, and Elton John. Colin Firth is also rumored to be returning, but no official confirmation has been made at this time. Pitch Perfect fans are going to have to wait a little longer for the return of the Bellas, as Universal has just shifted the film's release date back 5 months to Christmas 2017. Director Elizabeth Banks has also stepped down, but will likely produce and most likely star again as well. It's not awesome for fans, but we're sure Universal will find a new director as soon as possible. Could the new film possibly be a Christmas film as well? Time will tell, but it could be festive fun, as it is, if it is. Star Wars Force Awakens, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Silverado writer Lawrence Kasdan has revealed that the new Star Wars anthology film about Han Solo will begin shooting in January. In a recent interview, when asked if film should be excited for the film, he had to say this. "Oh, I think so. You know, Chris Miller and Phil Lord are going to direct it. They're great, funny, and imaginative, and we've had a great time together. My son, John, and I wrote the script, and Chris and Phil are working on it, and they're about to move to London to start shooting in January, and it should be fun." Alden
Ehrenreich.
Thank you. Is set to star as everyone's favorite space smuggler in a film set in the years before A New Hope. TJ Miller, who stars in HBO's comedy Silicon Valley and was most recently as Weasel in Deadpool, is set to professionally troll the new Steven Spielberg film Ready Player One. The comedic actor is playing iRock, an online forum troll who will cause grief for the film's heroes. It's an inspired bit of casting, and he could quickly become one of the film's highlights. Warner Brothers has released the first trailer for the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Ultimate Cut, and it appears to be the film we've always wanted, as we were talking about earlier. The R-rated cut runs over 3 hours, more than 30 minutes over the theatrical's runtime. We'll know just how bad or good this cut of the film is when it hits shelves July 19th, 2016. Thespian actor and all-around Hollywood legend Anthony Hopkins is joining another mega franchise and using his particular set of skills in Michael Bay's Transformers: The Last Knight. Not much is known about how Bay will most likely waste the talented actor, but the hope is that this is at least a better film than Age of Extinction. And though we hope he won't just be voicing a character either. Paramount has also confirmed that the film will see the return of the infamous Decepticon Megatron, something that we are not shocked about at all. They do know that there are other Transformers in the universe, right? Maybe not, but
probably not.
No. No. What? No. Other bad guys?
What? That's a thing. Well, I mean, we could at least maybe use Sharon Stone. She's joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if the things are true that she's hinting, it might be true. In a recent interview, Stone teased her upcoming role, quoting, "I'm going to do a Marvel movie. I'm just doing a wee part in a Marvel movie upcoming, and I can't tell because, you have to sign confidentiality agreements. But I'm going to do a wee part in a Marvel movie. Now, that's it." End quote. Could she be playing Hank Pym's long-thought dead wife Janet in Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I'm super excited about? It would be pretty great casting, and her wee hints seem to be on point for a wee small movie called. Paul Thomas Anderson and Daniel Day-Lewis are set to reunite, according to Variety. The longtime collaborators are apparently reuniting to make a film set in the 50s fashion world. Not much more is known at this time, but Day-Lewis has apparently been involved with the film for some time now. We're hoping this character enjoys milkshakes as much as his character Daniel Plainview did in There Will Be Blood.
All right, Sam. So is there anything in those news bits that stands out to you?
Anthony Hopkins, bless his heart, he just needs some work. And, you know, that Michael Bay, he's so desperate to get someone to watch his awful ass movie that he's going to do whatever the hell he wants. Will he be used as other than a voice? Probably not. I have a feeling he's just going to be a voice. If he is actually in the movie, you know, whatever. I think anything will be better than that big pile of turd that was Age of Extinction. TJ Miller was in that movie too, and he died.
Yes, he did.
You know, I'm sure he was quite happy after he saw it. Oh, I only lasted 45 minutes. Okay, cool. Of this 3-hour movie. Like, it basically felt like 3 hours. It's like 2.5, but still. It's like, ugh. What else? I'm actually surprised with the Pitch Perfect news because originally I was hearing that it was going to be moved up.
Yeah, it did get moved up, and then they moved it back just a few weeks later.
So that's really interesting, but not surprising because I think they're trying to figure out what the story is going to be. Because a lot of people like the second one better. I actually don't.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first one is a lot better than the second one. I mean, the second one has its merit and has its moments. Like the final song piece at the end, I think is really good. But it just doesn't have the strong pull, like character pull that the first one had. So I think they need to find a script that works better. I think it was directed fine. So I'm kind of sad that she's not coming back to direct it. But of course, she produced the first two, I think, anyways, and she acted in both of them as well. So that's fine. Other than that, nothing really crazy. Again, with the Kingsman news, of course, Colin Firth's going to be in the movie. Come on, like
they released a poster of it. We know. I mean, come on.
It's like don't lie to yourself, kids. He's going to come back. If of course these kind of spy things. Oh my God, he's dead. Sure he is.
Well, you saw that poster they released with him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've been releasing posters. Every one of the actors, for those who aren't aware, who have joined the film, every one of them has posted something on their Twitter account, and each poster is tailor made to the character they're playing. And they're posters that have something that the character uses and a quote that the character is going to say, or that it talks about the character. And the very first poster that Fox released for it had Colin Firth's glasses from the first one, and one of them is missing a frame or missing a piece of glass, and it said, "Rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated." Yeah,
exactly. So I mean, it's going to be fun, and I really, the last movie was very much a surprise to me. That it was so much fun. So I'm really looking forward to it a lot.
Yeah, I think that one was the most exciting for me. I love Jeff Bridges. Although I'm excited about the TJ Miller thing working on Ready Player One. I think that's, especially him playing an online troll, I think that's amazing. It's just such perfect casting.
It fits, yeah.
And I have a feeling, as far as Anthony Hopkins goes, he may actually be voicing Megatron, because I really don't see them getting a Hugo Weaving back for the third time.
Well, I mean, but they have what's his name that voices him on the cartoon that they can get like in a split second.
Oh, I'm sure, but they haven't thought that. They haven't thought about that until this point. Why would they now?
Or they could...
I mean, if they're forced,
true.
Yes.
But it's kind of a bummer for me that Bay is doing another Transformers, because I actually just watched 13 Hours, and I dug the ever-loving hell out of it because Bay actually made a great movie again.
Well, yeah, because he actually cared.
Yeah, and so I just don't, this is him swearing up and down this is his last movie again, even though we've heard that since the second one. And
I really thought after Age of Extinction, that was going to be his last one.
I didn't believe it at all. I knew that it was just a matter of time.
Maybe it was just me hoping.
It was probably you hoping. I just knew it was Bay waiting for Paramount to back a buttload of money up to his house, and hey, can you come back one last time? I promise. So Bay goes in his backyard, blows things up for 3 hours, and gives them a movie. That's what it is. And then he goes, hey, can I have money to make an actual good movie like Pain and Gain now, or 13 Hours? That's what he does. Exactly. It is what it is. But I mean, I thought that those are some good stuff that you guys needed to know that was going on in the world of movies. Sarah, was there anything that stood out to you?
The Sharon Stone bit.
Yeah, I know you're really excited for Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think more than Sam and I, which surprises me.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited because, the Wasp is going to be... I mean, it's a make or break thing, but I'm really, really excited to see the Wasp.
Do you guys think that if they do this, and it is her, and that's who she's playing... You think we're going to get some retro Wasp and Ant-Man action with Hank Pym and Janet? Like a flashback of some sort?
Oh, we'll get a flashback for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
they basically already showed us one in the last movie, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I'd like to see more of that if we could. So, I mean, I think that's really cool, and I actually think that's pretty good casting. Even though I really wanted Catherine Zeta-Jones to play her, I really did.
I mean, that would be too easy.
It would be too easy. I'm just saying, but I would have liked it. But it is what it is. So we'll move on to the big bits of movie news. We got a lot to get through in the next 45 minutes to an hour. It may take a little while because I'm going to talk a lot about these first few stories. And the first one especially, because I'm really pissed off about all of this. Star Wars Rogue One, man.
What?
Yeah, I know, right? And here's the thing that pisses me off. Ever since this news story broke on some tabloid website last week, Rogue One has apparently been in trouble and all this crap that's been going on with all 40% reshoots. Oh my God, Disney hates the movie. It's not good enough. It's not Star Wars enough. What do we do? Everyone's panicking. All because of this website, Page 6, that posted an article about it that was so well off base what was actually happening. And no one thought to actually, source out and find out what was going on. To the point that now we're almost a week and a half later and these news stories are still coming out. And people are still going by that old source. To the point, like I said, one person saying, I think it was Latino Review earlier this week, said Rogue One is having 40% of the entire movie reshot.
Well, here's the thing, is things get sensationalized because it's Star Wars.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. And like any time that there's reshoots, people freak out. There's a lot of times, and I mean, we've talked about this before, but there's a lot of times where movies are scheduled reshoots.
This was one of them.
Well, exactly. So they know that they were going to do reshoots because either there was stuff that they were doing that they weren't 100% sure was going to work out or not, or once they got the assembled cut, they wanted to have scheduled reshoots to fill in gaps. Because, yes, you have a script. The script is your quote-unquote guideline. It isn't the word of God. It's not. It's going to change. And once you see it together, what's on page and what's on screen could be two different things. So these things are scheduled. It just happens.
Oh, yeah. Well, and here's what I can tell you guys from what I know. Disney actually tried to combat all this. Entertainment Weekly actually reached out to them. They were the only outlet who reached out to anyone because God bless you, Entertainment Weekly, for doing something right. And Disney, goes, no, this was always planned. We had always planned it. I can tell you guys for a fact, I know this was planned a long time ago. The only reason it got pushed back to now was because everyone's schedules were a lot harder to work around when they originally wanted to do them.
Yeah.
And it actually gave everyone more time to rewatch the movie they had to find the stuff that they wanted. That they could fix. There's no truth at all to the Christopher McQuarrie having anything to do with the reshoots. His script is still the one that's been in play, and that was the stuff that was written last year. There was the movie shooting without his script. That didn't happen. Tony Gilroy did come in to help them, but that was because he collaborated before with Gareth Edwards. There was nothing nefarious about that. That was them asking for more character moments, and that's all this whole reshoot thing has been coming down to. I want you guys to understand that right now. They want a movie... The movie, from everything I've heard from the people that I know, is that the movie is actually very, very, very good. They want to make it great.
The only thing I've been hearing rumblings of is the movie was a little bit over serious, so some of the reshoots are trying to liven that a little bit, which is fine. I mean, and it's not like they're trying to make it a comedy, and that's where I've seen some people bitching and complaining, like, "Oh God, they're going to make it silly and blah blah blah." It's like, no, they're really not.
No. They're not, and you're right. What they want to do is make this movie look like A New Hope.
Yeah.
More in tone to that. And I don't remember A New Hope exactly being a laugh fest. I remember A New Hope being a very serious film that had levity.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, am I wrong in that? Am I the only one who noticed that? You guys see that too, right? I mean, it's not a joke-a-minute movie.
It's not, but Star Wars has never been that.
So, this whole thing is really frustrating because Rogue One's really not in the trouble that everyone's saying. Here's the thing. If this movie was having 6 weeks worth of reshoots for 40% of the movie, this movie wouldn't make its December release date. There's absolutely no way.
It'd be pushed back.
It would have already been pushed back, and there's no way Disney's about to do that.
It would have been pushed back to May.
It would have been pushed back to May, and we know that's not going to happen. And we know that it's not happening because Disney would have already done it.
Exactly.
And that's where the frustrating thing comes from all this. But like you said, it's because it's Star Wars that everyone's getting all hyper worked up. I want to remind you guys, Civil War had 3 weeks worth of reshoots back in January.
Yep.
And Suicide Squad just did a bunch of reshoots that were really similar to this one, actually, where they were trying to put more levity into the film.
And lighten it up.
Yeah, and lighten it up because it's Suicide Squad.
Everything I was hearing from Suicide Squad, it was basically like 12 Monkeys. Like, it was like serious, like dark.
It was everything I've heard is it was a very dark, serious. And after Batman v Superman's reception, WB really went, uh-oh.
Well, and especially how well Deadpool did, because Deadpool was over the top, crazy, silly, and I mean not silly, but I mean it was just over the top and fun and ridiculous. That did so well, and they're like, oh well, we're gonna make it rated R too, and hey, might as well add some more comedy. So I mean, people knee-jerk reacting to, oh my god, there's reshoots. Oh my god, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing.
No,
when you're doing a project, if you've ever worked on any project ever, because I've done film stuff, I've also done theater stuff, you run your thing and see what works and then you fix it. Mm-hmm. You're stupid if you just sit on what you have and pretend like that's going to be fine, because sometimes what you thought that you needed is not what you need, and you have to fix it.
And I mean, think about all these times we get director's cuts how many years later on a movie because a filmmaker wasn't happy with the cut that came out or something. I mean, stuff like that is really, it happens. And it's just, there's so much nonsense to all these reports, and it drives me crazy that there's sites that I really love where I get a lot of our, information from that we're running this, and it's so weird to me because we live in a world where this is really common for Disney. All of Disney's movies are scheduled now. It doesn't matter if it's the live-action stuff from Walt Disney Studios. It doesn't matter if it's the Marvel stuff. It doesn't matter if it's the Lucasfilm stuff. As they go in, Kevin Feige's talked about this before too. They go in and they budget, and at the very beginning of the shoots, extra money for the reshoots, and they schedule them in advance. The only reason that it happened with this one that the reshoots got pushed back is, like I said, everyone's schedules got a lot more cluttered than they were expecting.
What? They have stars in their movie?
Yeah, right? Especially, now. Felicity Jones is getting big. Donnie Yen is huge. I mean, you got guys like Mads Mikkelsen, who's the villain in Doctor Strange, so he's still got stuff he's probably doing over there at Marvel, and he's going to have to fly back to London to, shoot that. There's a lot of moving parts to this.
Exactly.
And people are wanting to lose their minds because it's Star Wars. You guys need to calm down. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I want to try to get people to understand there's no logistical way. You couldn't score this movie in time. You couldn't get the special effects done in time. None of that. If all this stuff was true.
Pushed back.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now, if the movie does get pushed back, which it's not going to happen, then maybe there might be some truth to what they're saying. But there's not. So calm down.
Yeah. Is there anything else you guys want to add to all of this before we move on to the next story? Because I wanted to do this first because this is the thing that's been getting on my nerves the last 2 weeks, and every time we'd tried to we'd come back to do the show, we'd been having stuff going on, so we never quite got to it, and I kind of reached my boiling point this week with the 40% of the film is getting reshot. Latino Review used to be a great website that had a lot of great news when Umberto was working there. Their reporting has gone down the hill a lot since he left, which is unfortunate, and I think that there's no way that you're reshooting 40% of this movie just 5 months before the movie comes out. There's absolutely no way.
Yeah, exactly.
And you guys I want you guys to understand that. There's no way, especially now because Lucasfilm is, only done The Force Awakens so far. Disney and Lucasfilm have only done The Force Awakens. You can't hope, or they can't hope that we're just going to go see it because it's Star Wars. So they need to make sure that this movie is great. And Kathleen Kennedy's not going to release the second movie and have it be something bad. And the other thing is these filmmakers are going to be under the microscope a lot from the company. They come in to make their own movies, sure, but it's going to be the Lucasfilm Star Wars movie. It's just like Marvel.
Yep.
And that's exactly how this is going to work. I mean, for better or worse for some people think that we're going too far with how filmmakers are treated on this stuff. I happen to think it's not such a bad thing, because if the filmmakers like working within that environment, then they're more than welcome to keep doing it. Ryan Johnson. Oh, go ahead.
The way I look at it is, imagine how actors and directors were at studios back in the day. That's basically what Marvel what Disney's been doing. Is they are getting people in their playhouse that they're keeping in their playhouse, and if you don't want to stay in the playhouse, then you just break your contract and get the hell out. And that's basically what this is. It's not.
It's an old studio mentality.
It's an old studio mentality. Is they're getting the people that they know work well with them and keeping them close.
Well, I mean, look at right now. Is Lupita Nyong'o, who is just, she's hot. She's an up and coming actress. She does Jungle Book. She just joined Black Panther. She did Star Wars. She's got the new live action Disney one coming out later this year.
Yep.
She's Disney's playhouse, man. They love her over there, and they're gonna keep working with her as long as they can. She came back for episode 8. Yep. She's gonna be coming back for episode 9. I'm pretty sure too, from what I've heard. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I think the exciting thing about episode 8 right now, just a little side thing. One, it's already almost done filming. Ryan Johnson said he's in the home stretch, which is awesome.
Which I'm sure, well, home stretch of this part.
Yeah. Of the shooting part, yeah. And wait until next year. We're going to hear all these rumors about reshoots again. Just wait for it. We all know it's coming, and you heard it here first. We're going to hear the same bullshit next year.
Prepare yourself.
Prepare yourself for that, because I'm going to blow up just the same. I'm hearing cool things about the fact that Yoda might be back, too, and it's not CGI Yoda. I've been hearing stuff about the fact that he may be a puppet again, and they actually built some rigs for it.
That's so awesome.
Well, I mean, again, they've proven that they're kind of going old school with these movies, which makes tons of sense. And going into it, do they need to do a CGI Yoda? Like, is he going to be jumping around and fighting? No, I'm pretty sure he's a dead ghost.
Yeah.
So would you have, you don't have to do that, which is perfectly fine. So if those rumors are true, then that's great. And I'm totally excited for it.
Yeah,
so.
And Frank Oz has apparently been back over there, too. He was recording some new stuff.
Well, he recorded a bunch of stuff for episode 7 that never made it. So.
That was because Ryan Johnson asked if he could hold off, I found out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, and Abrams has talked about that. Him and Ryan Johnson actually pulled some stuff back from episode 7 that was supposed to be there.
Well, you want the impact to be huge. You don't want it to be like, okay, well, he's back again.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if that includes the Force Ghost with Anakin, where it was going to go in and out.
Evil.
Yeah, between being Darth Vader and Anakin.
I mean, I would not be surprised.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that's the case, because that sounded really cool. And it was in the concept art book, too. It looked badass. I would like to see that continue, especially with Kylo as he's fighting the dark side coming onto him.
I just wish that it would have been in episode 7, because I think it would have solidified Kylo Ren's character a little bit more.
Yeah.
Actually, instead of it just being the helmet, actually seeing there being a vocal conflict and a visual conflict, I would have preferred that a little bit more. But that's just me.
No, you're right. I agree with you too, and I think that it would have been cool, but it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
But moving on from Star Wars, because I could talk about the Rogue One stuff all day.
Yes.
It looked for a little while. I think the last time we talked about Pacific Rim 2, it was dead.
Dead.
Pretty much. I believe on the show that was the last time we talked about it. In the time we've actually been gone, not only is it back, Del Toro is no longer directing. He's going to produce the film. He's got some other stuff going on. Stephen DeKnight, who actually did the first season of Daredevil, will be directing the show, or directing the movie.
Yeah.
And now, not only is the movie happening, we have the first star, and it's a good thing we were talking about Star Wars before this, because John Boyega will be recanceling the apocalypse, as he will be playing Idris Elba's Pentecost son in the film. We don't know much more about that, but Boyega is going to be starring in the film as well as producing it with Stephen DeKnight. And
interesting.
This is awesome.
I'm excited. But I just don't know how he's going to have time for life. How are you going to live? Because, I mean, he's locked into at least one more Star Wars movie after this.
Oh, dude, he's going to do it forever. You know it.
Well, of course. But I'm saying at least one more. I would assume. And so, like, you've got that going on, and it's like it's great to be busy, but it's like you're producing, you're acting. Okay, cool. Like, it's great. I mean, I know, like, I actually follow him on Instagram and Twitter and stuff, and he just goes out and he's just loving life right now. I mean, he's going on, trips and visiting people that he never would have had experience to do so, and it's fantastic. But like, when you work and you're a workaholic like that, it takes a toll. I mean, it really does. So I'm hoping that he's able to find a good balance of work and free time. Because, some people might think, oh, acting is, easy and whatever. It's like, it can be, but it's still taxing. It's still stressful. Like, there's a lot that goes into what you're doing. And especially if you're doing a action movie like Pacific Rim, that physically takes a lot out of you. And it's probably a lot of long days, 14-hour days, where you're running. You're probably going to be wet, cold, hot, etc., etc., etc. Like, it's stressful on your body. So I'm hoping that he's able to find a good balance. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying.
Sarah, do you have any thoughts on this?
He gets to use his natural accent.
I hope so. I think that would be cool. Yeah. I think that, yeah, and he even did, because you remember, Elba used his actual accent in it too.
So that would make sense.
Yeah, so I mean, it would be kind of cool if he got the chance to. I love John Boyega. I have since I saw Attack the Block. And I saw Attack the Block, before it was released, months before it was released here, when Sony was still trying to figure it out. They actually had a screening when I was living in Sacramento. It was like a marketing screening where they were like, we're trying to figure out how to release it. We want this movie to do really well. And then they completely destroyed the marketing, and the movie didn't do well at all. And no one saw it. But Attack the Block is such a wonderful movie, and he's so good in The Force Awakens. I mean, Finn is such a great character, and he plays it so well. He's such a charismatic actor. He's going to be the new kind of star. If stars start coming back the way I think they will, if we keep seeing actors like him, he's going to be one of the first real movie stars in a long time.
Well, no, and I agree. I mean, and luckily, too, like, going back to Star Wars, I think Daisy Ridley's really done a fantastic job as well. Like,
yes, she has.
She's really, and even when people have said negative things about her, she's like, hey, like, you know what? I'm just a person. Like, I'm doing my thing. But she really, like, for me, honestly, like, seeing her on red carpets and stuff, she really reminds me of old time Hollywood. Like, she really does. And, we've talked about this till we're blue in the face about kind of the death of the movie star.
Yeah.
But I mean, with these kind of new up and comers, like, they are having people follow them. I mean, and it's kind of different now because the way people follow people is very different. Like, we've got Instagram and Twitter and all these things, and so they've been really able to keep in contact with their fans a lot more, which actually I think helps them a little bit, because then you feel more personally connected to these people, that you're more invested in what they're doing and what their work is. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, it might not be the return of quote unquote the movie star, but I mean, both of them, honestly, I think will do very well outside of Star Wars, doing other projects, unlike Mark Hamill had done. And Mark Hamill's had a great career.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for voiceovers and stuff like that. But Carrie Fisher, like, she's had a great career, but not necessarily being and stuff. She became a really good script doctor, and she script doctored the hell out of a lot of things. She was actually the script doctor for Star Wars Episode 3. A lot of people don't know that, but she was.
Yep.
She was script doctor for Hook. I mean, she script doctored a lot of movies.
Yeah, totally. And I think what's cool is that with Boyega, he loves sci-fi, and you can tell, man, he wants to do all the sci-fi stuff.
Well, exactly, because it's fun, and you can tell that he's just having a great time. And so I'm just, like I said, I'm hoping for him he doesn't burn himself out. Well, too much of a good thing can be a bad thing sometimes.
The good thing is if Episode 8 is finishing filming around now, right?
Yeah.
So that would mean that they're filming this around November. And there's no way they're filming Episode 9 until later,
Yeah, I mean, they'll probably start like February or so, I would assume.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like he will have time, but how much time in between? That's the question. Like, will there be a ton of time? Probably not.
But I am happy for him, and he's really excited, especially because he gets to produce it and everything. Like, that's a big deal for him.
Well, it's the next step. And I mean, and that's the good thing that a lot of actors are doing is they aren't just staying in one form of what their craft is. They're trying to learn every aspect, and that's how they're keeping jobs. That's how they're keeping busy. Because if, let's say, he's not getting casted in movies anymore,
Yeah.
he can go back to producing, and that's why, like, even with like TV shows and stuff, like there's a lot of actors that have been on a TV show that run for a long time that get into the directing side of things because they're curious about it, and that's another thing for them to fall back on. I mean, he's not a huge star, but going to Star Trek, Jonathan Frakes, who directed 2 of the Star Trek movies, like all he does now is produce and direct.
Mm-hmm.
Never acts anymore, but he produces and directs quite often. So I mean, it's finding those ways to keep your business going, and he's really obviously trying to do that, and so good for him. I'm very excited.
Yeah, absolutely. The next story we got going on, and this is kind of a redemption of sorts, it sounds like, for Mel Gibson, but Mel Gibson is actually getting ready to make a sequel to The Passion of the Christ. He's actually going to be writing it with Randall Wallace, not Randall Wallace, that was the character he played in, of course, Braveheart. Or no, Randall Wallace was the guy who wrote Braveheart. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the article wrong. He's actually writing it with his Braveheart writer, and he's looking to shoot the film sometime soon. There's not a lot going on. Wallace actually wrote Hacksaw Ridge for him, which is his new World War II movie he has coming out. So this is a long-time collaboration for them, and I think this is a good thing for Gibson. The Passion of the Christ is a very compelling, heartfelt, amazing film, something that meant a lot to him, and I think that him doing the resurrection story, I have a feeling it's going to be called The Resurrection of the Christ.
Yeah, I have a feeling.
Do you think it'll come out around Easter then?
Yeah, definitely. It'll probably be 2 Easters from now. If I was a betting man, it'll be 2 Easters from now. And with Jim Caviezel finally having Person of Interest coming to an end, it means that he has time to play the role again. And
Yeah.
I think that this is a very good thing for Gibson because, love or hate him as an actor, his public persona has not been as kind the last decade.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good way for him to try to really bring himself back into the limelight. He started to do it with The Expendables. I thought that was kind of cool, him playing the villain in the third one. I think this is a good step for him.
No, I agree. I just don't know how compelling of a story they can make of the resurrection. Like, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like The Passion, like everyone knows the story of what led up to, the crucifixion. So I just don't know how they're going to make a compelling story for what happens next, if that makes sense. And I think there's going to be a lot of graces taken with the story because there's not, honestly, in the Bible, not a whole heck of a lot known after the resurrection. I mean, there's a little bit, but not as much as before the crucifixion. So it's going to be an interesting thing. But I mean, I love The Passion of the Christ as a movie. I think visually it's stunning. I mean, even if you're not a religious person, like visually it's stunning. Some of the symbolism in there is just gorgeous. It's such a fascinating film. I mean, I think everyone should watch it just for the visual aspect of it because you could literally not even read the subtitles and you know what's going on in that movie. Like, it's just fantastic. And so it's I hope that he's able to make something that he is passionate about, and obviously he is, and something that will resonate with him, his fans, and with people that want to go see it. I'm just hoping that they're able to find a compelling story to make it actually happen.
I mean, there's a lot that they could still do with it. Risen did pretty well for itself earlier this year, and that was kind of a resurrection story of sorts. CSI Jerusalem, as I call it, because it follows a Roman soldier trying to find Jesus' body after it disappears. I think this is a good thing. I actually think... Do you guys think if this was... Do you think this would have happened probably 10 years ago had he not had the problems he had?
Probably.
What do you think, Sarah? You think that he probably would have made this like 10 years ago had he not had the problems? I bet people probably would have given him the money.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot that stopped this from happening the first time, but it seems like with Hacksaw Ridge, it's getting a lot of buzz, and he has that new movie that he's actually starring in that got a lot of buzz out of the film festivals the last month. So I think that he's really he's ready to come back.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that if things keep going the way it goes, I think we're going to see Lethal Weapon 5. I really do. Shane Black wrote a treatment for it. And I think that if Gibson really wants to, try to get a public persona doing it well again, that'd be a good call, too.
And going off the nostalgia fix that
Yeah.
everyone's on, too.
But would Danny Glover really want to do another one?
I don't see why not. I mean, he might. He did, 2 or 3 of those badass movies?
That's true.
I mean, he still does action movies from time to time. So, I mean, anything if Shane Black wrote and directed it, because I don't think there's any way Donner would do it. If Shane Black wrote and directed it, I bet you that, especially now with the nostalgia thing being so big, that they could probably do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think this is good for him. I think that there's a lot of potential in a sequel to this. There's a lot of people who are like, how do you make a sequel to The Passion of the Christ? Well, the resurrection is a thing, I mean, as far as the Bible says it is for people. I mean, whether you believe it or not, there is more to that story.
There is.
And so there's a lot that you can go off of,
I just wonder if we're going to, marketing-wise, if it's going to market well, and if people just will write it off as like, oh, it's just I'm going to rent it Redbox movie instead of giving it that full theater experience. So I think it really comes down to the marketing, really.
I could see that too. Yeah, especially because like I was just saying, there's a lot of people who go, how do you make a sequel to The Passion of the Christ? That doesn't even make sense. And they'll just think it's just a sequel for the sake of it. But I mean, it is one of those things, and that's the risk you take making a movie like this. Right? I mean, that is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
So, good for Mel Gibson. I do hope it happens, and I think that's a big deal for him. But what I'm very, very excited about, and this was one of the big news stories over the last few weeks, and when it happened, I was so excited. Halloween finally, kind of got away from the Weinsteins and all those guys who were kind of holding the series back for a little while.
Yeah.
And the rights actually ended up over, out of all places, and this isn't so bad, in my opinion at least, it ended up over at the Blumhouse, Jason Blum, the guy who does the Purge movies, and they do a lot of small indie films.
Yeah, exactly.
Those little horror films. Halloween ended up there, and not only are they doing the next Halloween film, which will be directed by Oculus director Mike Flanagan. Oculus was a Blumhouse film that did very well for itself last year. John Carpenter is actually returning to the series as well. He will be executive producing the film, as well as doing the story with them, and he may be doing this film soundtrack as well.
Which would be great.
Is a huge thing. John Carpenter actually talked about it a little bit, and he was saying that he was happy that he was coming back. He said that he thought that the series really kind of lost its way. He didn't think that what they did with the remakes really worked. He thinks that over time they've really kind of taken away from Michael as a character, and they've taken away the boogeyman aspect. They tried to make, there's cults and all these other things that got involved, and then in the remakes they tried to make him basically like a human kid, and it really took away from the character. And he went on to say that he's really set on going back to what made the first film work. You go back to the beginning. You go, you scale it back. You make him a force again. And I think that's brilliant. Jason Blum also added on, saying, Halloween is one of those milestone films that inspired everyone at our company to get into the world of scary movies. The great Malik Akkad and John Carpenter have a special place in the hearts of all genre fans, and we are so excited that Miramax brought us together. We cannot wait to find and collaborate with the right filmmaker to give Halloween fans the movie they deserve. Of course, this was before Mike Flanagan was announced as the director, but this is great news, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I mean, and if you look back, Wes Craven, God rest his soul, was able to do this with Nightmare on Elm Street a long time ago.
Yes, he was.
Because, he was involved in number 1, and then he also produced and wrote number 3, which were both really good movies. But then after that, the story kind of tapered away and it became a shell of what it used to be. And so when he came back in 1993 or 4, I think it was, and he did Wes Craven's New Nightmare, he literally watched all the movies and he's like, at the end of it, I couldn't tell what the hell was going on. Like, it was not my character anymore. So he came in, love it or hate it, and did Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which I personally love a lot. And he really made him the boogeyman again. He made him the scary, scary guy. Yes, was he a little funny here and there, dark humor? Oh, of course he was. But he still was that terror that was there, hiding in the closet, hiding underneath the bed, that was going to come and get you. So, I mean, this is smart. Like, this is them looking at what has happened before, because Wes Craven's done this. Like, he has done this. And so bringing back, you know, Carpenter to come back to his original baby and do it again, like, it's great and it's smart. And, you know, you want to refocus what it was, because a lot of times the people that created it don't feel what has happened after is their story anymore, because it's your own interpretation. I could sit there and watch something and write something else and write a completely different screenplay off of what I just watched, because it's what I put into it. So when you have the original people come back and go, no, this is what it should be, this is what it is, this is what I intended, then you get a better product from it. And a lot of times the directors like Carpenter and Wes Craven, they step back because they don't feel like they really want to do that. They want to do other things. And so they don't get caught up in staying with that one thing, because you don't want to be a one-hit wonder. You don't want to be, this is what I did my whole life. Very much how I think George Lucas feels. I think he felt that his life was controlled by Star Wars. That's why he let it go, finally. But what else did he really do? I mean, yeah, he produced a couple things, but writing and directing, no. He pretty much did Star Wars.
Yep.
That was his whole career, except for THX 1138 American Graffiti. So, I mean, but I think it's nice to look back on things and go, yeah, I did this thing a long time ago. Maybe I can make it better, or maybe I can bring it back to what it used to be. So I think it's great. I think it's a great thing.
Sarah, do you have any thoughts on Halloween returning and John Carpenter involved in it?
I'm just very, very excited for another slasher film that we haven't really seen anything like that done that matches or compares lately.
No, and I think that especially when you look at the Conjuring movies like that and Insidious, the stuff Juan has done a lot of, he's really tried to take horror back to The Exorcist in the Halloween days. You know, movies really bent on atmosphere and less, you know, slaughtering people. Even Poltergeist. Yeah, I mean, they're really trying to go back to that, and Juan really, Juan worked with Jason Blum on. Blum actually produced The Conjuring. It wasn't a Blumhouse film, but Blum produced it, and he actually did the Insidious films with him as well. So, I mean, he clearly has a love for older horror-type movies as well, and I think that that's very obvious. And I think that going back to it, I think you're right, as Sam as well, the idea of what they did with New Nightmare and things like that. I think this is a good thing. Over/under that you think that Jamie Lee Curtis returns?
Yeah.
I
don't think he's going to.
I don't think so either, but I think it'd be kind of cool if her and Carpenter did it together.
I kind of want to see her not return. Is that weird?
No. I mean, I understand that completely. In all honesty, if I had been given the chance to do a sequel, I probably would have done like another H2O and done it with Josh Hartnett, especially now that he's getting popular again with Penny Dreadful, and have him being terrorized by Michael.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
I mean, that's the way I would have gone with it, but I mean, I'm just excited in general that Carpenter's even involved again. So this is good news all around to me, and I am excited for it just as much as I'm excited about the fact that John Williams has confirmed to be returning for Indiana Jones 5 and Star Wars Episode 8, as well as doing the score for Ready Player One.
I mean, this is the thing with John Williams, and if you watch the special features for Episode 7, like, he's like, I don't know how much longer I can do these, but you can tell that he still wants to do as much as he possibly can. He did have some health issues last year, and that stopped him from doing the score for Bridge of Spies, because he just didn't have time, because Star Wars literally took over his entire life at that point. So, I mean, and with them giving them the proper time to edit the Star Wars movies together. Because if you don't know how John Williams writes his scores, he likes to see a pretty much finished product before he scores it. And he needs at least 4 months, I think it is, to properly score the film, for Star Wars at least. Some of the other movies where there isn't as much music needed, then it's a lot less. But, you know, he's up there in his age and he needs the time to do what he needs to do. But I love his work. I mean, I think his score for episode 7, some people complain about it at first, but I'm like, if you really give it a listen, it's fantastic. I think it's probably the second score of the whole series. And, you know, keep working, John Williams. Keep going as long as you can. I mean, I think he's 83 this year. Mm-hmm. So, you know, just keep going as long as you can. If you can't do it no more, then that's fine. But I love his scores so much.
I almost feel it's only right that he finishes the Indiana Jones trilogy, because I really at this point believe that 5 is going to be the last one. Yeah. I really do, at least with Spielberg and Ford and Williams. I think this is going to be the end of this series. Yeah. I think that it's going to be the redemption movie after Crystal Skull for them, much like they felt Last Crusade was for Temple of Doom. Yeah. So I think that this is going to be the last one. It's only right that, you know, all 3 of them collaborate one last time on one of these.
No, I agree.
And I think it would only be right that he finishes the new trilogy for Star Wars as well. And I think that's going to be the plan as long as his health remains good. He'll finish through episode 9, and I think that will be the last time he scores a Star Wars movie.
No, I agree.
But I think this is good. I think this is real good news because Williams' music is part of the DNA of everything that is Spielberg's productions. And I'm excited about the idea of him doing Ready Player One because I think it's a little bit different than anything he's ever done. You know, a movie set in a video game type world and things like that. I think that's really exciting, and I think he could make a really cool score out of it, especially if he gets to do, you know, something really adventurous and fun akin to, you know, Raiders, but with the sci-fi twinge of Star Wars. I think there's a lot to do.
Well, I mean, if you listen to a lot of his scores for a lot of movies, he's done a very huge range of movies, not just Spielberg movies, but others. Yeah. I mean, even in Spielberg's movies, I mean, the score for AI is fascinating to listen to. If you haven't heard that, I mean, there's whole synthesizer parts in that score. There's electric guitar. I mean, just crazy stuff in that score, and just it's haunting. So he can do the different kinds. Like most people think, oh, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Harry Potter, but it's like no, he has pushed himself to do a bunch of really weird stuff. So I know he can do it. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you know, we talk a lot about superhero movies on the podcast. I know that's a weird thing, but superhero movies are all the rage right now, you guys. No shock to me, really, because there's a lot to do with superheroes. But it looks like Brie Larson is actually going to be the front runner for Captain Marvel. This is a great thing to me. Originally, I know Emily Blunt was really being looked at and sought over for the role, but we'll talk about it a little later. She actually just signed on to play Mary Poppins, which took her completely out of contention for the role because, as we know, Captain Marvel will first be appearing in none other than Infinity War Part 1, which will begin shooting later this year. Because Mary Poppins would be shooting at the same time, there was no way for Blunt to be able to do this. And I think this is great, man. This is a good call to me.
No, I totally agree. And, I mean... This is the thing, and this is why it's great that Marvel is willing to wait, because Captain Marvel originally was going to be at the end of Age of Ultron, I think. I think that was the plan.
Yeah, that was the plan.
And if they would have done that, that would have been jumping the gun a little too quick. So no, I'm excited. I think it's brilliant casting.
Well, and she's such a good actress. Yeah. She really is. I think that a lot of people don't understand. Like, there's a lot of people who are saying, oh, she's not right for the role, or she's being too overhyped now. We don't really need her in this. I think that's really underselling her talent. When you see what she did in 21 Jump Street, when you see what she did in oh my goodness.
He's having a blonde moment,
folks. I am. Short Term 12. That's what it was. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I mean, she's done a lot, man, and she's really talented. And I think that she's a perfect for a Captain Marvel, and she's young.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is Marvel's going to start casting young. You look at the Spider-Man casting in Civil War. They want people who can pick up these mantles and do it, because Downey Jr.'s not getting any younger. Iron Man's going to be retired eventually, at least as Downey Jr. You know, Chris Evans isn't getting any younger as Captain America. He's still got some mileage on him if he wants to keep doing it. But, you know, Downey Jr. is looking a lot older now, especially when you look at Iron
50.
Man. No, I know. But I mean, when you look at Iron Man to now, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but eventually he's going to want to step down. He got hurt making Iron Man 3.
Yep.
I mean, we're lucky he came back as it was for Civil War.
Yep.
Because that was a and you know, now he's playing Tony Stark again in the new Spider-Man. That was another thing that happened while we were gone. You know, he's coming back and he's going to be Tony Stark in Spider-Man, which is a great move. So,
Exactly.
I mean, it's a good move to me. I think Brie Larson's very, very talented. I love her a lot. I think that she really has that spunk that Captain Marvel needs. And I think she has the chance to make it her own. I mean, she's a really great actress.
Yeah, exactly.
And she just won for Room. Marvel loves Academy actors. They love Academy Award-winning actors. If you look, every one of their movies has had an Academy Award-winning actor.
Yep.
Every single one.
At least one.
Yeah, at least one. So, I mean, that tells you that they aim high. And they'll continue to aim high. And I think that this is a great call. I can't think of anyone else with her kind of star power and talent that I would really choose for a Captain Marvel role, really.
No, I mean, I think it's great. And I mean, Marvel's been very great at casting. So I have extreme faith in what they're doing. So, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I am too. Speaking of Marvel, we're learning a lot more about Thor Ragnarok as well over the last few weeks. One thing we found out, which I thought was not surprising but very exciting, is that we know Hulk is in the movie. And of course now, the more we're learning is that the film will actually bring some of the Planet Hulk story elements into it. On top of that, not only do we know that Planet Hulk will be a part of it, we got more of the cast. Kate Blanchett will be joining the film, as well as Jeff Goldblum and Carl Urban are joining it as well. I think this is great casting. Once again, Marvel bringing a lot up to the game. There's a lot of cool stuff that they're going to do with this. I love this. I think this is great. You any thoughts from you, Sam?
No, I totally agree. But again, Marvel is doing the smart thing, because what has been the weakest link, honestly, in the MCU movies?
The Thor movies.
It's just, I mean, as much as you might like them, it has been the weakest link. So throwing as much as you possibly can at it is probably for the better. And the fact that we've been hearing that Hulk was in the movie, period, and are you surprised that they're doing Planet Hulk stuff? Like, are we shocked? Like, I'm not at all. So it's I think it's going to be great. I'm curious to see what roles Kate Blanchett's going to play, and or Jeff Goldblum.
Goldblum is actually playing the Collector's brother, as we know. He's the Grandmaster. He'll be overseeing the Planet Hulk stuff, I think.
Okay, that makes sense. So no, that actually fits quite well.
Yes.
So no, but I mean, it's gonna be fun. I mean, and for me, like I think Thor 2 is like a guilty pleasure movie for me. I don't think it's great, but it's one of those movies that I can kind of just throw on and it's okay.
Oh, Tessa Thompson's in it as well. I forgot to bring that up. She's going to be playing Valkyrie. They cast her a few weeks ago, so she will be playing Valkyrie in the film, which I think is great.
That's fun. But yeah, but no, I mean, but going back to Thor 2, like I really think it's a guilty pleasure film for me. It's not great, but it's still fun, and I can kind of just throw it on. Unlike where I think like Captain America, Winter Soldier, that's a little bit more of a chore to watch. So it might not be the best movie in the world, because I think Captain America, Winter Soldier is a much better movie, but it's very easy to watch. So, I mean, at least the Thor movies for me have that on their side. But no, I mean, I think it's great, and I really hope that it does well for Thor, kind of it being its quote-unquote last movie. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they've been hinting that Hulk and Loki will have their kind of rematch, if you will. They've been talking about that a little bit. And the other thing Ruffalo was saying is that Banner and Hulk are going to be on a collision course in the movie, which I'm wondering if that means that Banner may end up taking over the Hulk side, which I think would be very interesting, and we may end up with Smart Hulk by the time that Ragnarok is over.
They've been hinting at that though already. Even if you closely watch Age of Ultron, like they're kind of hinting at that already.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I think that that's what we're going to see, but I'm excited for that. And now, not on top of the fact that we're going to be seeing Loki again, it looks like Tom Hiddleston is actually in talks to play Bond, James Bond. The young actor has actually been in talks now for some time, apparently, to take over for Daniel Craig, who has made it no secret that he doesn't really care for the role and he didn't want to come back. I think that this is great news. I know that he recently came out and said, well, now I don't know if that announcement's going to be coming, and he kind of backed away from it, but I think that he's got this role in the bag if they decide to do it, and I think it's a great choice on the part of, MGM. I think that he would make a great Bond. I don't know about you guys.
No, I think he would make a great Bond, and I think that it's smart casting because he is so young. They could keep him for a long time as long as they keep the stories quote unquote good. I mean, because with Roger Moore, like he was older and he stayed on for way too many movies and he was way too old by the end of it.
Oh my God, yes.
It just wasn't believable. It's like he's kissing up on these little 18, 19-year-olds and he's like 50 years old. It's like
awkward.
Gross. So I mean, to the point where like because we did our whole show on all the Bond movies, but like I think it was his last one or something. He did an interview and he's like, yeah, like one of the Bond girls was like, oh yeah, my mom loves you.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, maybe you should not be doing this anymore.
It's pretty much that's exactly how I feel, and I think that especially with what we saw with Craig, they waited way too long to keep doing the movies, and he was not old when they did the first one, but the fact of the matter is he's getting older as they went along, and Spectre was hard for him. What he's doing, he's very cold and calculated, but he can be charming, and just I like that a lot.
To me, he would seem more like a Timothy Dalton kind of Bond, less of a Craig kind of Bond. Like, that's just my initial reaction to what kind of Bond he would be.
Which is what I'm hoping for, because Timothy Dalton's my favorite.
Yeah, you love the Timothy Dalton Bond.
Well, because they're good.
They are good. I love them. There's only 2 of them, and I think it's a damn shame that he didn't do more.
Well, exactly. But, I mean, those were the basis of the new Bond.
Yeah, exactly.
Or so.
And I don't think, I know with Spectre, they started to lean a little back towards the Moore films where, oh, look at the kind of comedy, let him falling on the couch when the building fell and stuff like that. I don't think we're going to see it go much farther than that. But if they did, I think Hiddleston's the kind of guy who could balance both.
No, I agree.
But I am looking forward to it. I would like to see what happens once we hear more about it. But moving on from that, it looks like Alien Covenant may have way more in common with the Alien series than we were originally expecting. The playlist reports that Catherine Waterston's character will actually possibly be playing Ripley's mother in the new film.
Interesting.
I don't know. I know I've seen a lot of people online who are really kind of upset about this. They think it's actually going to make the world smaller and it doesn't, I don't know if I agree, but they did release a picture of her last week, and she looked very much like Ripley. And I'm actually looking at it right now. She's got that short hair. She looks a lot like Ripley does. And I could see a resemblance, and I could see them, they've talked about, especially Ridley Scott, saying we're going to learn more about where Ripley came from and things like that. I could see that her mother, she would have had to learn her strong will from someone.
Well, exactly.
And so I don't really buy into the idea that they're, the world feels smaller because it's her mother. I actually think that there's a lot of rhyme and reason to that makes sense, and I'm all about it.
No, I mean, I'm totally for it too. I mean, she has to come from somewhere. Ripley didn't pop up out of the ground. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, that's fine. Like, okay, there's backstory to her character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
There's already enough in there, and there's enough gaps with the Ripley character that you don't know a lot of what's happened. Like, that she had a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
That her daughter is now dead. She's floated across millions and millions of miles of space. So, like, saying that it's making the world smaller, it's like, not really. I mean, they keep coming back to this certain place So that kind of makes the world smaller because they keep going back to, certain planets and where the aliens came from and blah, blah, blah. But like, just because the character might be her mother, who cares?
Yeah, I agree. Sarah, you actually just saw the Alien movies recently for the first time. So as someone who's kind of new to the series, how do you feel about the idea of them using a connection like having Ripley's mother in Alien Covenant as a prequel? How do you feel about that? Do you think it takes away from Ellen Ripley the first time you meet her, or is this a good thing to you?
I feel like knowing I guess you could say her roots, but basically knowing a little bit more about where Ripley came from is to know where her, I guess, like survival, needs came from. I guess that sounds weird, but just what drives Ripley to where she is today. And I know that sounds really cheesy, where it's like, or not like an origin story, but to like kind of know, like, if you know a little bit about Ripley's mother, then you know what kind of like how it affects Ripley now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the big thing with me with Ripley, and this is where the argument I think comes in, is in the very first Alien movie, she's not immediately the star.
No,
she's not immediately. She's just one of the crew. She's not the standout. It isn't until the S hits the fan that all of a sudden she's by herself and she's got to survive. So if you have this connection with this character with obviously the last name Ripley, and you see that, if you're watching these in quote-unquote chronological order, then that might be spoiled for you. So I could see that being an argument. Like, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. But like the thing that's fun with the original Alien is you don't know that she's the star.
Mm-hmm.
She all of a sudden is thrusted into being so, because that's what happens, and that's the joy of her character, is she is faced with this thing that's so awful, but the only thing she can think is, I need to survive, I need to get the hell out of here. So I mean, I can see both sides of it, but in the end I still don't care.
That's a fair call. I just think it's a good connection. I think the idea of us seeing where she came from is not a bad thing at all. I think that there's a lot of good from that, actually, and I don't think you really take away from it. So to me, this is exciting. Yeah, I am looking forward to it. But hey, let's see where we go from here. We're gonna skip a few stories. Just a little tidbit on one of them. We were gonna talk a little bit about Rick Famuyiwa. He actually is going to be directing Flash. He directed Dope last year. I think it's an interesting choice. There's not more that I can really speculate on it because we really don't know much more.
Exactly.
And I want to kind of get into the bigger stories here towards the end, because I know we talked a lot about a lot of stuff going on. So he is directing Flash. I do think it means that they're looking for someone a little more colorful to direct these films, and I think that's a good thing, especially in light of Batman v Superman's reception. I think people really do want more films that are not necessarily lighthearted, but they have levity, and they're not pseudo-serious.
Well, they just need to have personality. Don't act like a rock. Like, I need something. You're a human being, right? Not an automaton? Mm-hmm. Thanks. Like, that's all I need.
So let's jump ahead then real quick to the story that broke news yesterday, was that Mary Poppins Returns is officially happening. I told you guys this last year. Everyone's getting all up in arms when the Mary Poppins rumors started, saying, oh my gosh, they're remaking it, they're rebooting it. No, they were making a sequel. It was always going to be a sequel. No one really wanted to listen at the time because they want to think with their emotions, but here we are. Emily Blunt will be taking the role of Mary Poppins, and Lin-Manuel-MIranda will actually be joining the film as well. He is not going to be playing Bert. He's actually going to be playing a new character named Jack. The film will have Mary Poppins and Miranda playing... It's 20 years later, and it actually has a story taking place in the Depression-era London when the books were actually originally written, and follows the now-grown Jane and Michael Banks, who, along with Michael's children, are visited by Mary Poppins following a personal loss. Through her unique magical skills and with the aid of her friend Jack, she helps the family rediscover the joy and wonder missing in their lives. And I have a good feeling, or bad feeling, depending on how you look at it, her personal loss is going to be Bert has passed away.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where we're going with this. And I actually expect that we will probably see cameos from Dick Van Dyke, as well as, of course...
Like in flashbacks?
No, just a cameo of sorts. But I think we're going to see, because it is a sequel. But I do think that there will be nods to them because they originated these roles for 40 years. I mean, obviously, we're not going to see Bert in this. We're seeing a new character. But if Bert is the one who's passed away, I still think that there will be some sort of, hey, look, it's Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
I really do expect that. But I think this is... I think this is a great idea. It will be opening Christmas of 2018, and Rob Marshall will be directing. Who I think this is a great call for him. Pirates may not be the best thing he did, but Memoirs of a Geisha is a great film, and I do really love his version of Chicago. So this is awesome news to me.
No, I totally agree. And I mean, this is the thing, and you've hit it on the head. It's not a reboot. It's not a remake. It is a sequel. And the reason why they're doing this is, P.L. Travers' family, I can guarantee you, is heavily, heavily involved. She was not happy with how Mary Poppins turned out. If you've seen Save You, Mr. Banks, you have a slight clue of that. She was not happy at all. And when they did the musical, they had contacted her about it, and the musical is very much more like the books. So if you haven't seen the Disney stage musical Mary Poppins, and it's around somewhere that you can see it, go see it. It's a lot darker, and I have a feeling that this will be a lot darker of a tale, especially being set during the Depression. Duh.
And if Mary's lost someone?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, but it's one of those things where it's just like, in the original stories of Mary Poppins, she's not the nicest, happiest little little thing. She's kind of a bitch. I mean, she just is. That's just how it works. And in the musical, she's very much that way. So it would be interesting to see this character at this point where if she has lost someone, like how she's reacting to that and how that affects her. And again, having it set many years later is fascinating. I think it's a really great thing. People that were automatically going, oh, he's playing Bert. It's like, I'm pretty sure Bert was English, and I'm pretty sure Lin Manuel-MIranda is Mexican.
I'm excited about Lin Manuel-MIranda, doing this.
I love him.
I do too, and I think this is cool because we were talking about earlier. Disney loves to bring people in house that they can use. This is a big thing for them because Rob Marshall did Into the Woods.
Yeah.
And we had Emily Blunt in it, and Lin Manuel-MIranda is helping do the music for Moana. So this is
Force Awakens.
Yeah, and so this is a big deal, man. I mean, they're really bringing everyone back in house, and this is exactly what we were talking about earlier. They love having these guys right there and utilizing their toys, the way they can. And Lin Manuel-MIranda is actually doing Into the Heights soon as well. I think it was John M. Chu is going to be directing it. They just announced that. Yeah. And he's going to eventually, they're saying they're not doing it. They're not filming Hamilton. They're going to film Hamilton eventually. Hamilton's way too popular, and he will play the role again.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's the thing is like, some people don't like In the Heights. Some people don't. And I get it because the story is very, very, very simple. And it did win the Tony for Best Musical, just like Hamilton's going to win the Tony for Best Musical. And that's actually today, the day that we're recording it. It's going to happen. I'm calling it now. But that's the thing is like, they do love using people that they've used before. And Lin Manuel-MIranda is not only a talented songwriter, he's also a very good actor.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing. He's very good on stage. If you haven't seen him act, go to YouTube and find some videos. There are videos, of course, they were taken illegally, but they are online, and you can watch him. He's fantastic. He's captivating to watch. So I'm excited for the Mary Poppins movie. I really am.
Sarah, how do you feel about Mary Poppins getting a sequel?
I'm really excited about this Mary Poppins movie about being like what she's doing is kind of she's doing for herself like too. Like, it's affecting herself too and finding joy for herself as well as she's working through this with that family again.
And I think that's an interesting point actually because in the original she's really not looking for anything. She kind of ends up there.
Yeah.
And in this one, she really is going to be working through her own things. And I think that's actually very fascinating because that really grows the character in a lot of ways. So,
I agree.
yeah, I mean, I think this is a great call, and I think Emily Blunt is the perfect person to take over for Julie Andrews. I can't see another actress who would do it just as well as she did. Blunt had an amazing voice in Into the Woods, and she's a very likable actress.
Well, I mean, she has the personality in the face and everything. Like, she can play it off. So I'm sold.
Yeah, I'm definitely sold. And, you know, on top that, I like movies like this. And you know what else I like? I like heist movies. You guys know that. And one of my favorite series in the last probably decade or so was the Ocean's 11 films. Steven Soderbergh, George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, everyone who could be in a movie together was in those movies. You had Al Pacino, you had Elliot Gould, who's one of the most underrated actors ever. I mean, these are big movies, and now we're getting a sequel, but it's a spinoff. We're actually getting Ocean's Ocho, which is going to be a female-led spinoff. Sandra Bullock is going to be leading the film. And now we're learning more of the cast as we go along, as Elizabeth Banks is joining Bullock, Kate Blanchett, who is going to be basically taking over the role of Rusty that Brad Pitt played. She's going to be playing a character very similar to that. And we're also going to have Helena Bonham Carter and Mindy Kaling in the film as well. The rest of the cast hasn't been figured out. Gary Ross, who actually directed the first Hunger Games film, Seabiscuit, and quite a few others, will be directing this. And he's got Free State of Jones, which is opening very soon. And Sandra Bullock is actually going to be playing Danny Ocean's sister, who is actually an ex-con herself. And after having something happen, she decides that she needs to get revenge on someone, and she ends up going to some sort of gala where they're going to be stealing something from the person who screwed her over. Steven Soderbergh and George Clooney are both producing the film, and George Clooney had a role that was written in as Danny. They're saying that may be left for the sequel, and they may bring back more characters on top of it, but right now there is still a chance Danny Ocean has a small part in the film. How do you guys feel about this?
I think it's fun. I mean, there's been rumors that this was going to happen for a while. A lot of ideas who was going to be in it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think this is the right way to go. I mean, it's been quite a few years, so you wanted to do something that's a little bit different, but still have it be a heist movie. So I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it.
What do you think of the casting so far?
I think the cast is interesting. It's very diverse. Very, very diverse, actually. And it goes from, some slightly older ladies to some younger ladies as well. So no, I'm excited for it. I really like Sandra Bullock a lot. Like,
I love her.
Even in bad movies, she's good in them. So I'm sold.
Sarah, what do you think?
I'm really digging the diversity as well. I'm really, really hoping that Mindy Kaling doesn't like kind of kill scenes.
Yeah, that's where I am right now too.
That it's not going to be her. Okay.
I'm not the biggest Mindy Kaling fan. She's the only question mark right now for me.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that too, but I don't want to be a buzz.
Another like question mark for me, which is not a bad one, is is Helena.
Yeah, I could see that too.
She's fun though. I mean, if you see her in many different things, she can be very fun. She can be manic. She can be crazy. So I'm sold on her. I like it.
Yeah, that's why it's a good question mark. But I'm just like, at the same time, I'm just like, oh well, you know what? Like, it could be a hit or miss. But yeah,
I could see that. Mindy Kaling's my big question mark. The one that I love Sandra Bullock. I'm really excited about that. But it's actually Kate Blanchett. That's the one that really sticks out to me as, man, this is super cool. Because I like Kate Blanchett a lot. We're talking about she joined Thor Ragnarok. She's someone who we've seen in Lord of the Rings. We saw her in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. She's such a diverse actress. And the idea of her kind of playing the fast-talking character Brad Pitt played as Rusty in the original movies, a character very similar to that's kind of cool to me. And it's the perfect part for her.
No, I agree.
I think that I need to hear more about who they're going to end up playing, because all we're seeing is names and a cast list.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than Sandra Bullock, we obviously know that she's playing Danny's sister. I like the title Ocean's Ocho because very reminiscent to what we saw, but it also is very telling that we're probably only going to see 8 people versus the 11. And so far we have Mindy, Helena, Sandra, Kate, and Elizabeth. So that's 5. That means there's 3 left. And Jennifer Lawrence was in talks. She ended up having to back out because of a scheduling conflict. I think she was going to be up for the Matt Damon-esque role as the youngest of the group. So that makes a lot of sense. So I think that we're in for at least 3 more people of bigger nature that we can expect in this.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think this is cool. And like I said, I like the Oceans movies a lot. So it makes sense. And this was a good way to go. And if it meant that down the line, could you imagine if they did a team up where they had the Ocean's 11 with Ocean's Ocho, and you have Brad Pitt and Cate Blanchett and Matt Damon and, all of them come back? It could be fun. It would be a lot of characters, but it could be fun.
No, I agree.
So I am looking forward to that. What I'm not looking forward to, on the other hand, is the next Friday the 13th. We've been talking about this for a while. We just talked about how excited we were that Halloween was coming back and it's going to go back to its roots. Friday the 13th is taking that way too literally because for some reason they've decided that they need to do Jason's origin again as a film. And this time the filmmakers said as the following: Aaron's story has great characters. You kind of have to understand Jason Voorhees. So we go back and we kind of started over and worked our way forward. It's origin-ish, but it's an origin that no one has seen before. Obviously, Pamela, Jason's mother, will be there, but it's a little bit different from what you've seen before. I don't care.
It sounds like the same promise everyone gives.
Yeah.
It's just like how many times do we need to see Bruce Wayne's parents mowed down? It's a little different every single time. It's like, who cares?
There's a different filter.
Yeah, or it's in slow motion this time. I don't care. I don't care where Jason came from. Why should I? Have they learned nothing from, doing the origin stories before?
The origin story you really need is the quick, simple one. I mean, that's why I honestly think, Freddy Krueger is one of my favorites because he was a child murderer and they killed his ass. That's where he came from. He's a spirit that's coming back to try to kill all the kids. Like, that's it. Like, that's all you need to know. Like, I don't need anything else. I don't need a dark past. Oh, he has a dark past. Blah, 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 blah. Like, that's why I think the remakes, the Rob Zombie remakes of Halloween were awful. It's like, who cares? Who cares?
Yeah, they
He's
tried to humanize Michael.
Torturing people up.
I don't give a crap at all. I mean, here's my thing. Jason, he was a kid who was bullied and drowned. And his mother started killing kids and he came back to life. Isn't that all we care about?
That's all you need.
I don't. They've tried to do this before, where they were like, "Oh, let's explain where it came from. Let's explain how we got the hockey mask. Let's do this. Let's do that." No, we don't need it. I don't understand. We don't need to understand these characters. The reason that Psycho is the only one that kind of worked this way was because with Psycho, Norman was actually human.
Well,
and
he was.
And
he
you care about
him. Boogeyman.
There's progression, too.
And there's progression. And actually, that's why Psycho 2 works so well, because he's gotten better and he doesn't want to regress. So, to me, those ones make sense. But I have no want of understanding where Jason came from. Why can't we leave him as the kid who drowned in the lake? I don't understand.
That's too easy.
It just doesn't make sense. I think that we're beyond trying to humanize serial killers. I mean, it doesn't make for compelling movies. Unless you build the character from the beginning where we see him turn, I don't want to go backwards. I don't. Exactly. I have no interest in seeing... It would be essentially like J.K. Rowling trying to write stories about how Voldemort became Voldemort. We saw what we needed to see in the Harry Potter books. But could you imagine a whole series of stories about Voldemort before he was Voldemort? Would you care?
We saw enough in the second book / second movie.
Exactly, but there's no reason for it. I just can't understand why we want to sit through a movie where, hey, look, Jason comes back to life, or he's a kid and it's actually about Pamela and his father. Why?
I just don't understand why they're trying to make you sympathize with this person, because they're evil and they're killing people. You shouldn't have the only reason that you're going to do a backstory is to make you feel something for this character.
Yeah, we're not making a serial killer movie for serial killers. We're making it for everyone.
Yeah, and I don't think any of us want to sympathize with them, at least in my mind. But, you know, I think that they're not learning anything over at the Friday the 13th front, and that's very disappointing because they keep stumbling out the gate and doing so many different things that it just sucks. And they keep doing it. But, you know, to end this on a better note, The Rock has cloned himself because he's doing everything and anything he can. And our last two stories completely involve The Rock. First off, we talked about, you know, Shane Black earlier. One of the next films after The Predator that Shane Black does is going to be an adaptation of the Doc Savage books. And now none other than Dwayne The Rock Johnson will be playing the said character of Doc Savage. He actually revealed it in his own Instagram post, saying, "It's official. For all comic book fans, you already know the world's first superhero predating Superman is the Man of Bronze himself, Clark Doc Savage. Comic book fans around the world know that the cool thing about Doc Savage is that he's the inspiration for Superman. First name Clark, called Man of Bronze, retreats to his Fortress of Solitude in the Arctic, etc., etc. Doc was physically and mentally trained from birth by his father and a team of scientists to become the perfect human specimen with a genius-level intellect. His heightened senses are beyond comprehension. He can even identify a woman's perfume from half a mile away. He is literally the master of everything. But here's the number one reason I'm excited to become Doc Savage. He's a effing hilarious weirdo. Confidently, yet innocently, he has zero social graces whatsoever due to his upbringing, so every interaction he has with someone is direct, odd, often uncomfortable, and amazingly hilarious. Right now, Doc Savage does not have a release date, but we're expecting it to be sometime in 2018. What do you guys think of Dwayne The Rock Johnson as Doc Savage?
I'm sold. I like him. So, I mean, again, he's another one of those that even if he's in something that's kind of bad, he's at least good in it. I mean, Scorpion King's an awful movie, but he's actually semi-good in it. So I don't think there's anything that he can do that I probably wouldn't see at least once. So it could be fun.
I love the idea of Dwayne Johnson playing a pulp hero who is written by Shane Black. I mean, that's my big selling point right now is Shane Black directing The Rock in a pulp adventure film. And I don't think that they're updating it. I think it is going to be like a 1940s, 1930s throwback type film, which I think is even more interesting. And he's got the physicality and the charm to be Savage. I really think so.
Agreed.
I think this is a great call. And, I mean, to me, I can't think of anyone else who could have done this role. And I know that a lot of people are probably upset because they're like, well, he's not white. He's Samoan.
Who cares?
And Doc Savage is white. And yeah, who cares? I just want a good, charismatic actor who can play the role. And so this is cool to me. Sarah, you're like the number one fan of The Rock around here. And you're recently started watching a lot of Shane Black movies. So what do you think of the idea of these two teaming up?
Shane Black and
The Rock.
Well, just seeing The Rock's name on anything, you just, I'm down. Like,
Yeah.
I really am. Like, he's amazing, and he really puts his heart into anything he does. And I know it seems like he's doing everything, but it really just, like, it doesn't change the fact he gives a piece of himself to everything he does. So, I mean, I'm sold.
I really am convinced that he's cloned himself. I really am. I mean, is there any other explanation for all the things he can do? He films TV shows. He does Fast 8. He's doing this. He's doing a Robert Lundum cinematic universe now over at Universal on top of playing the Fast 8 character. And he's going to be playing Hobbs in a spinoff. And he's got Central Intelligence next week. He's got Moana. And on top of that, he's actually announced that he's doing another film with Rawson Marshall Thurber, who was the guy who directed him in San Andreas, which they're both making a sequel to on top of this, and Rampage together. They are going to be doing a film called Skyscraper for Legendary Pictures. We don't know much about the film, but it's based on an original idea by Thurber's, and the logline is being kept under wraps, but has been described as an adventure thriller that takes place in a mega skyscraper in China. The planned project is also said to have shades of Die Hard, the classic Bruce Willis action movie set in an office building, as well as the Towering Inferno, the 1974 disaster movie starring Paul Newman and Steve McQueen, and features featured a gargantuan office building engulfed in flames. So this is another film that The Rock has just added to his resume. It sounds like it's going to be a Die Hard-esque, exciting adventure film set in China. So on top of the Doc Savage news, Moana, Furious 8, and everything else he's doing, what do you guys think of Skyscraper?
I think it could be fun. I mean, again, we don't know a lot about it, but it sounds like it's the kind of movie I would like to go see. I mean, I like disaster films, and I mean, some people don't because I think they're depressing. But Towering Inferno is a fun movie. Die Hard, fun movie. So I'm sold.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds fun. Sarah, I mean, what do you think of the idea of The Rock leading a movie that's very Die Hard-esque inside a building?
Well, well, it's not like ho ho ho, I have a machine gun, but it's gonna. I mean, we see The Rock in scenes with, like, you know, in Furious 7 with like a big gun and everything, and we get excited. So it's just gonna be that dialed to 10, like plus.
Yeah, him getting to lead it, and you know, taking on all of China inside of an office building, because I'm having a feeling that's how it's gonna go. There's no Alan Rickman, rest his soul, but you know, I think this could be fun. And is anyone else, like I said, how is he doing so many movies? How does he work?
He probably just goes from one project to the other, and he's probably prepping for a project while he's working on another one at the same time.
And
It's
makes
just
mad
crazy.
protein smoothies.
And he's always working out, and he's always posting on Instagram. There's got to be more than one of him. Does he have a twin?
No, he just has really good assistants.
He must, because I mean, this guy has more going on than any other actor in Hollywood, and I think this is awesome. And man, I am just so happy that he's doing this, and I can't wait to see more from him. I love seeing this explosion that he's had over recent years, especially because he's really honed his acting skills in. You brought up The Scorpion King. You know, and in The Scorpion King, he really didn't do much, you know? Like, he was an okay-ish actor.
Yeah.
Not much, but he was an okay-ish actor.
He did what he had to do.
Yeah. So I am really looking forward to all of this. And that was a lot of movie news for our first show back. And, you know, thank you guys so much for hanging out and waiting for us to come back, because this has been a long road for us to even get back here. Because, like I said, everyone's lives has been kind of crazy, and we're getting a lot going on. But I'm happy that we're back, and I'm just really, really happy that you guys stuck up and waited for us to come back.
Yeah, I wanted to say the same thing. I'm excited to be back. It's taken a little bit of a journey to get here, but that's fine. I mean, the good things are always worth waiting for. So I'm excited. I'm excited that we're doing this again, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed this, and hopefully it wasn't too boring. I hope you guys like a little bit of the new format that we are throwing at you, a little bit faster, a little bit more news here and there. So yeah, we're going to be listening to you guys, so let us know what you like, what you don't.
And you guys will hear from Andy and Diego and Jason and some of the others over the coming weeks too, because there's going to be more things that we're doing that we've already set out to do, that it's going to be time, and we're going to get there, but you're going to hear from everyone.
Yes.
And we're excited, and I love doing this, man. I love talking about movies for you guys. I love just going on about everything that's happening in Hollywood, and for me, this is what I enjoy the most in the world. So without you guys, we can't do this, and I'm hoping that, you know, even after our long break, you guys embrace us the same way that you embraced us as we're doing it weekly. And we're hoping, and this is our plan, every Sunday night you guys will have a new episode. That's our plan. As long as, you know, life permitting, you guys will have a new episode every Sunday to look forward to. So we cannot wait until next week for you guys to have your new episode. So with that, guys, we'll go ahead and wrap up this episode. Sarah, where can everyone find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at PrincessPoetSB, and show me the love. I'm on Twitter.
All right. And Sam, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter under @SamTheFilmMan, and find me on Facebook under Sam Taylor.
And of course, guys, you can find me on Twitter at PJ_Campbell, or at Facebook at Patrick Campbell _PJ. Like we said earlier, we are going to be at San Diego Comic-Con this year. We cannot wait to see everyone. It is going to be a really good time. If you see us on the floor, come and say hi. We are going to try to do a show from San Diego as well. And we're going to have a lot of fun with everyone, and I can't wait to see everybody, talk to everyone. It sounds like it's going to be a really fun time, especially on the Warner Brothers front. They're really going to be taking Comic-Con and doing something really big with it, especially on the Suicide Squad front. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I hope that you guys are enjoying the movie season right now. It's summer season. It should be more exciting than it probably feels like, but I hope you guys are enjoying all the movies that you're seeing and you're having a great time, and we will see you here next Sunday when we talk more movies with you guys. So until next week, see you later, guys, and have fun at the movies. Bye.
Ah.